You clicked because somewhere deep inside, you're tired of pretending you're fine, and tired of telling yourself that, one day, you'll finally become the new you. And here's the uncomfortable part: if that hit you, it's because you already feel the gap between who you are, and who you were supposed to become by now. And if you feel that gap growing, there's a reason, and it's not what you think. Have you ever noticed how, as the years pass, the fear of staying the same starts to feel heavier than the fear of change? How you can wake up, swear today will be different, and still repeat the same habits that drain you, frustrate you, and quietly convince you that maybe you're not meant for more. Here's the part nobody ever tells you: you're not stuck because you're lazy. You're not stuck because you lack motivation. You're stuck because your brain is designed to protect you from anything unfamiliar, even if the familiar is ruining your life. And if you're in that stage of life where people expect you to have it all together, this hits harder. Because now you're carrying more responsibility, more pressure, more stress, and yet you're supposed to keep functioning like nothing is wrong. But inside, a part of you is exhausted. A part of you knows you can't keep living the same year over and over. A part of you fears waking up 5 years from now in the exact same place. That's the psychological trap most adults fall into. Your brain is not fighting change, your brain is fighting uncertainty. Big goals, big promises, big overhauls, your mind interprets them as danger. That's why you start strong on Monday and crash by Tuesday. That's why you buy planners, watch motivational videos, write schedules, only to fall back into the same loops. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, "This time I'm serious. This time I'll be consistent. This time I'll change everything." And by the end of the week, you're right back where you started? It's not your discipline failing. It's your wiring resisting. This is where micro habits become the secret weapon. They slip under the radar. They don't scare your brain. They don't trigger the alarm. They don't demand a new identity, they build one quietly. 1 minute. One action. One small decision that whispers to your mind, "I'm someone who follows through." And that whisper becomes a pattern. The pattern becomes evidence. The evidence becomes identity. And identity changes your life. Because when you win small, repeatedly, your brain begins to trust you again. Your confidence returns. Your boundaries strengthen. Your energy rises. Your self-respect rebuilds. And suddenly, transformation doesn't feel impossible, it feels predictable. But here's the twist you need to remember: micro habits aren't about doing less, they're about unlocking the version of you who was buried under years of survival mode. And this is where your 30-day shift truly begins, not with pressure, not with intensity, not with giant goals, but with the first tiny habit that silently rewrites who you become next. Because the next 30 days are going to change in one direction or the other, toward the life you want, or the life you're trying to escape. And the habit you choose first will decide everything. And that's exactly what we're breaking down next. Most people don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they pick goals that are too heavy for a life already weighed down by stress, responsibility, and the quiet pressure to get it together. And if this sounds familiar, it's not your fault. Big goals spark excitement at first. But they quickly turn into shame when you can't keep up. You start with discipline. You end with guilt. You promise yourself a fresh start on Monday. And somehow, by Wednesday, you're repeating the same habits that drain your energy, steal your focus, and convince your mind that change is impossible. Here's the hard truth: your brain isn't fighting you. It's protecting you. Big goals demand instant identity change, and your mind sees that as a threat. It panics. It triggers resistance. It whispers, "Stick to what's safe." And if you're someone carrying responsibilities, deadlines, and the weight of expectations silently, this hits harder. Because people like you aren't failing. You're overloaded. You're doing the best you can with the energy you have. Micro habits. They're the secret weapon your brain actually accepts. They don't overwhelm your nervous system. They don't demand perfection. They operate below the radar. One push-up. One glass of water. 1 minute of deep breathing. 1 page read. One decision to stop scrolling and show up for yourself. And here's the part most people never see: each tiny action proves something to your brain. I follow through. I am someone who keeps promises to myself. That whisper grows. The whisper becomes habit. The habit becomes identity. And suddenly, discipline isn't a struggle. It's who you are. Like when you buy a new notebook, swear this is the week everything changes, and by day 4 it's collecting dust. Big goals fail. Micro habits survive. Big goals drain. Micro habits build. And the truth is, not all micro habits are equal. Some rebuild your confidence. Some rebuild your focus. Some rebuild the direction of your life entirely. These next habits decide whether the next 30 days change you, or repeat you. And most people never discover them until it's too late. Imagine standing at the edge of a life you've been dreaming of, but something keeps holding you back. Those moments of clarity, when you felt unstoppable, vanish too quickly. They're replaced by the same routines, the same distractions, the same quiet frustration. And most people never get past this edge, because they're doing it wrong. Here's the truth: massive change feels impossible for one simple reason: your brain resists it. Big goals scream at your mind. They trigger fear. They demand perfection. They require an instant identity overhaul, and your mind panics. Micro habits whisper. They sneak past your inner critic. They are small enough to feel safe, yet powerful enough to start rewriting your identity quietly, day by day. This is where the 30-day transformation formula comes in. Not magic. Not extreme discipline. Not grueling willpower. Just a carefully structured sequence of micro habits designed to compound and transform your mind, body, and behavior without triggering your brain's resistance. Each tiny action acts like a signal: you follow through. You are someone who keeps promises to yourself. And as proof accumulates, your confidence grows. Your energy rises. Your focus sharpens. Your identity updates. Let me make this real for a second. Picture Monday morning. You wake up, tired, overworked, a million things pulling at your attention. You tell yourself, today is different. You make your bed. You pour a glass of water. You spend 5 minutes journaling or reading. At first, it seems meaningless. But by noon, you notice your mind feels lighter. The small wins pile up. Momentum builds. That's the invisible power of micro habits: tiny, consistent actions creating shifts too subtle for your brain to resist, yet too impactful to ignore. And if you've been silently carrying stress, responsibilities, and the guilt of never feeling enough, this works for you. Because deep down, you know you've been capable all along, you just needed a system that finally works with you, not against you. Micro habits bypass shame. They bypass willpower. They make transformation inevitable, not optional. But here's the critical insight: not all micro habits are equal. Some build confidence. Some restore focus. Some rebuild the very trajectory of your life. Choose the wrong ones, and you'll feel busy, productive, but unchanged. Most people never realize it until it's too late. And this is exactly what we'll break down next: the micro habits that rebuild your identity from the inside out, the ones that decide whether your next 30 days truly transform you, or quietly repeat your old life. Have you ever looked around at people who seem to change effortlessly, reinvent themselves, and suddenly have the life they've been chasing, while you feel stuck in the same routines, same frustrations, same quiet struggles? And if that hits too close, it's not your fault. The difference isn't luck. It isn't discipline. It isn't even motivation. It's the habits they choose, the invisible micro habits that quietly shape their identity and their life over time. Most people fail because they pick habits their brain can't follow. They try big, dramatic changes, and their mind fights them at every step. That's why transformation feels impossible. The truth is, your brain loves safety. It resists sudden change. It craves patterns it can trust. So trying to overhaul everything at once, it triggers fear, resistance, procrastination, guilt. That's where micro habits come in. They slip under the radar. They whisper instead of shouting. They signal to your mind that change isn't dangerous, it's possible. And when repeated daily, they begin to reshape your identity without forcing a battle. Think about your morning. Most people wake up, reach for their phone, scroll mindlessly, feel rushed, and step into the day already depleted. That's a micro habit, one that silently drains your energy, focus, and confidence. Now imagine making one small shift instead: wake up, drink a glass of water, stretch for 1 minute, and write down one priority for the day. That's it. Almost too small to matter, right? But it matters more than you realize. Your brain sees a promise kept. Momentum starts quietly building. One habit triggers another. Before long, the version of you that shows up for life has changed, almost invisibly, almost effortlessly. And if you've been carrying the weight of responsibilities, deadlines, family pressures, and the quiet guilt of never feeling enough, this is where micro habits become a lifeline. Because it's not about adding more tasks. It's about selecting actions that rebuild identity, confidence, focus, and energy. One habit can shift your emotional state for the whole day. One habit can decide whether you finally show up as the person you've been dreaming to become, or replay the life you're tired of. Here's a concrete, visceral example. You sit at your desk, coffee in hand, dreading the day. Instead of opening social media, you spend 2 minutes planning your most meaningful task first. Instantly, you feel a subtle shift. Your brain says, "This is different. I can trust this version of me." Repeat it for weeks, and suddenly, transformation isn't a struggle. It's inevitable. You don't need willpower. You need alignment, consistency, and the right micro habits. And remember, not all micro habits are equal. Some improve focus. Some improve mood. Some rebuild resilience. Some change the trajectory of your entire life. Choose the wrong habits, and you'll feel busy, productive, but unchanged. Choose the right ones, and change becomes inevitable. Every day you delay, your old habits reinforce themselves. Every day you procrastinate, resistance grows stronger. The first micro-habit you commit to now sets the tone for the next 30 days. And this is exactly what we'll break down in next part: how to build a daily system of micro-habits that automates calm, focus, discipline, and unstoppable momentum so your transformation isn't random. It's structured. It's predictable. And it's impossible to ignore. Have you ever noticed how some people can stay calm, focused, and unstoppable even when life throws chaos at every corner? And most people never notice this, until they hit burnout. And if you've been wondering why you can't seem to maintain the same energy, focus, or inner calm no matter how hard you try, it's not your fault. The difference isn't willpower. It's not intelligence. It's not luck. It's a system, a daily structure that protects energy, sharpens the mind, and trains your response muscles to keep stress from running the show. Most people fail because discipline without a system is fragile. Motivation without habit is fleeting. Calm without routine is temporary. Highly effective people don't rely on bursts of energy or short-term motivation. They automate their focus, their calm, their discipline. Every day, repeated micro-habits, some visible, some invisible, form a framework that shields them from chaos and quietly rewires their identity. And here's the critical truth: these micro-habits are small, simple, repeatable, but the compound effect is unstoppable. Think about your morning. Most people wake up reacting: emails, notifications, chores, the endless pull of life. By lunchtime, their energy is gone, their focus shattered, their calm evaporated. Now imagine a small, intentional system: wake up, hydrate, stretch for 1 minute, plan one priority, journal 2 minutes of gratitude, and breathe deeply for 1 minute. 10 minutes. That's all it takes. But it sets the tone. Your brain sees promises kept. Momentum starts building. One habit triggers another. By the time life throws chaos at you, your identity has shifted. You don't just survive the day, you navigate it. Calm. Focused. Unshakable. If you've been struggling, carrying responsibilities, juggling deadlines, feeling that quiet frustration of never being enough, this is your escape hatch. Because deep down, you know you've been capable all along, your brain just needed the right structure. Here's a visceral example: imagine a day where everything goes wrong. Someone drops a personal emergency. Your inbox explodes. Meetings run late. The world is screaming for attention. Most people crumble. Their energy drains. Their focus disappears. Their calm evaporates. Now imagine the same day, but you've committed to your morning microsystem. You've hydrated. You've journaled. You've planned. You've breathed. The chaos still happens. But your mind doesn't scream back. You're grounded. Decisive. Calm. Each small habit compounds. Each micro win builds momentum. The day becomes manageable. Your identity begins to align with the person you've been striving to become. And here's the key insight most people never realize: not all micro habits are equal. Some rebuild focus. Some restore energy. Some strengthen resilience. Some shift the trajectory of your entire life. Pick the wrong habits, and you'll feel busy, productive, but unchanged. Pick the right ones, and transformation becomes inevitable. Every day you delay, your old patterns strengthen. Every day you procrastinate, your brain doubles down on resistance. The first micro-habit you implement in your system decides everything. Choose wrong, and nothing changes. Choose right, and your next 30 days determine whether you finally become the calm, unstoppable version of yourself. And that's exactly what we'll uncover in next part, the habits that harness focus, energy, and inner calm to create the version of you that feels unstoppable, grounded, and finally free. Most people think sensitivity is a weakness, but what if it's actually the key to unstoppable calm? The truth is, being highly sensitive is not a flaw. And if you've ever felt your emotions overwhelm you, your focus slip, or your energy drain faster than everyone else's, it's not your fault. Your sensitivity is a superpower, but like any power, it needs training, structure, and daily practice. Without it, your depth can feel like a burden, leaving you exhausted, reactive, frustrated. Highly sensitive people who stay calm and grounded understand one simple principle: calm is not absence of emotion. Calm is mastery of response. They don't suppress feelings. They channel them. They don't fight stress. They structure their environment, energy, and habits so stress doesn't hijack their day. And they don't rely on willpower. They rely on micro-habits, small, intentional actions that protect energy, sharpen focus, and quietly rewire identity. Think about your day. Most people react. Notifications. Emails. Interruptions. Chaos everywhere. Highly sensitive, disciplined people respond differently. One micro-habit: a deep breath before replying. Another, a 2-minute pause to check priorities before reacting. Another, a journaling ritual to process emotions before stress accumulates. These small actions don't just manage the moment, they prevent overwhelm from taking root. They train focus. They build resilience. And they quietly turn calm into a default state. If you've been exhausted, reactive, frustrated by your emotions, this is your chance to finally turn your sensitivity into your greatest asset. Deep down, you've always had insight, clarity, and depth. You just need a system that works with it, not against it. Here's a visceral, sensory example. Imagine a meeting goes wrong. Criticism lands harder than it should. Most people snap. Some shut down. But someone trained in micro-habits reacts differently. Their heart rate steadies. Their voice remains calm. Their mind evaluates, decides, and acts without chaos. The difference isn't magic. It's the quiet power of consistent micro-habits over time. They've automated calm. They've automated focus. They've automated discipline, and now, after 30 days of practicing micro-habits, this transformation solidifies. You're no longer chasing calm. You're living it. You're no longer struggling to focus. You're naturally disciplined. You're no longer reacting unconsciously. You're responding with control, clarity, and intention. Here's the final truth: your sensitivity is a superpower. Train it. Protect it. Automate it through micro-habits. And you become unstoppable, calm in chaos, decisive under pressure, grounded no matter what life throws at you. If you want to finally make calm, focus, and energy automatic, and stop letting your sensitivity hold you back, watch the next video now, The Psychology of People Who Are Always Calm. Because this is where theory turns into action. This is where the new you becomes unstoppable,